Hey guys, welcome back to Church Talk, where we talk about everything involving the local church. I'm Rob, and today we're going to be talking about CCLI. So, what is CCLI, and do you really need them? Do you really need the license they provide? Well, CCLI is basically a licensing company to where you, as a church, as a venue, can purchase a license to be able to legally play, sing, broadcast, whatever the music that you're using that does not belong to you. So, do we need CCLI? The answer is kind of probably so. As much as I don't like them, though, here's the reason why. Now, coming from a worship leader, coming from a worship pastor, and someone who writes music myself, number one is the music that I write, I want people to use it to glorify the Lord. Now, if they're making money on it and they are, then yeah, I think it's only right that the writer gets a part of that. But I don't want to be paid royalties for someone using my song to worship the Lord. To me, I just think it's wrong. Now, if you're going to use my money, if you're going to use my song in something and you're making money on it, then yeah, I think it is only right that a portion of that money be paid out in royalties to the writer. I think that's perfectly legit and the way it should be. But if I go to a church and we've traveled before and we've done our own music and people come up to us, they'd buy a CD or whatever and they'd say they like our music. Now, if that church were to want to do one of my songs in their service, I think it would be great. Even if they are putting it up on their screen and they're streaming to Facebook and YouTube, that's great. Use it. That's the reason I wrote it, is to glorify the Lord. So I think sometimes we get legalistic in a lot of this stuff. Now, like I said, if you're making money on it, I think it's only right that that there's a royalty paid out. But me as a songwriter, I want my music to be used to glorify the Lord. I don't want some legality to stand in the way to where a church is going to say, well, I can't use his stuff because I'm not allowed to. Well, that's kind of, I don't like that idea. I don't think that's a good thing that we're doing in churches. Now, I will say this, that CCLI, it gives you the license to do a lot, but not every song that you find is included in your CCLI license. Hey guys, just a quick break from the video. Just want to say thank you for watching. And if this is the type of content that you like, make sure that you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the bell so you'll be notified when I upload new videos. And make sure you give it a like so that YouTube will continue to push this content on out to others. And one more thing, head over to robandjen.com/church talk. You can find like the t-shirt I'm wearing, the mug that we have. Enough of that, now back to our video. But not every song that you find is included in your CCLI license. For instance, when I submitted our original songs to CCLI, the way that you go about it is you have to contact them first, and they start asking you questions and the very first question kicked me out of being able to submit anything, because they said, are there churches who was requesting your music? Well, the answer to that's no. We're just getting started. I'm just now starting. Of course, now we're local church worship pastors, so we're not traveling anymore. But while we were traveling, I tried to submit music to CCLI so we could get our songs in there. And we couldn't get past step number one because nobody was asking for our music. So it's like, okay, so now if the places where we've been and they pick up the songs that we've done there and they're doing our songs, we don't get a cut of that at all because CCLI did not take our music. Now that's number two. That's the thing that I don't really like about CCLI. You have to be part of the industry and your music has to be pushed in order for them to really pick it up. There's a ton of music out there, and there's a lot of music that we do as well. We can't find it in a CCLI book. We can't find it on CCLI online. We cannot find this music. We don't find it anywhere. And I believe it's because there's people like myself out there that is saying, here's this music, use it to glorify the Lord, and that's it. We're not out to make money off of someone else's music, but we're using it to sing to the Lord. Now, what you need CCLI for, well, let me back up and say what you don't need them for. There is an exclusion in the law about religious practices in churches to where when you're singing songs to the Lord, you do not need any special license to sing those songs or to perform those songs. I hate the word performance, but that's what it is. When you are playing someone else's music and it's live, it's considered a performance. So when you are playing those songs and you're performing those songs, you do not need any such license. But most churches, ours included, and about every church that we've ever been to, put lyrics up on the screen. So when you when you show the lyrics, now you do need a license. When you stream or when you record your services, now you do need that license. So CCLI is a good legal thing to have. It does protect you if you're using those songs, but it only provides the license for songs and artists that are within the industry. And I say industry because the Christian music industry is, even though it has the label Christian on it, they are out to make money. They're not out to glorify the Lord. Now, there may be many people within the industry that love the Lord and that is doing everything and under their power to make everything legit, and they want to give glory to the Lord. But as an industry as a whole, they are a money-making machine. They're the same thing as any other music industry. It's just the music industry, and then Christian is a genre of it. And so every type of music is a part of this industry, and if you're not within the industry itself, then your stuff's not being pushed, and your stuff is not being out there on CCLI. So like our stuff, that if there's any of the churches we've been to, they have our permission to use our stuff, but the royalties the payout that they're paying CCLI, and the CCLI goes back to the royalties, which I think is all okay, but you're leaving out everybody that's not really part of the mainstream Christian music industry. So all your big bands like Elevation and Bethel and Hillsong and Upper Room and all these who have made their way into the mainstream industry of Christian music, their stuff is being pushed, and that's why it's all over CCLI, and it's like everybody's choosing their songs because that's the only thing that they hear. Where there's a lot of, and I think it's great when churches write their own music, and that's wonderful, and that's a direction that we want to go as well. We want to write our own music. Not saying that I don't appreciate CCLI, because I do think that we do need them. There is some great music that comes out of a lot of these major bands and major churches, and there are some very biblical songs. Now, there's some stuff that we won't do as well, and we'll get into that on a different video. But for the most part, there are a lot of good songs that you can look up in the CCLI database, and it does give you the license that what you need to legally share and broadcast somebody else's creation. So it is a good thing in itself, but I think there are flaws within it, and I think most of it probably comes from, for me anyway, is that it captures the large, those who are very influential in the music industry that's being pushed out to you. And so those who aren't really large in the industry, their music is not made available to you through CCLI. And though there's a bunch of songs on there, but my goodness, you go from several years back, songs that are 20, 30, 40 years old, multiply it by how many songs are put out per year. I mean, if I'm thinking right, there's like 200,000 songs that's on their database, maybe more than that now. So there's a ton of music out there, and a lot of it's really good. But do you really need it as a church? I hate to say yes, but yes, if you're going to do somebody else's music and you're going to broadcast it, and you don't have their written permission, CCLI does give you that permission, and what you are paying out each year when you do your reporting, a portion of what you're doing goes towards the writers. So those who wrote the music, they're being paid royalties. So every year when you pay your CCLI balance, and you do your recording, they do disperse it out to the writers, which I think that's a good thing. So within itself, that's not bad, So as a church, do we need CCLI? Yes, if you're going to be recording your services or broadcasting your services, or you have the words on the screen. Now, if you are sometimes like us, and I like sometimes just to take the words off the screen, we'll have a worship night, like, let's just not have any words on the screen at all. Let's just come together and worship. We're going to flow together. There may be some songs that we start singing at somebody else's, and then we're just going to flow out of that and do some songs that we've, that's new. It's new to us, new to the church, sing a new song to the Lord. So there's times like that. Now, if you're having those type of services, then no, you really don't need a license. But if you are a church and you're broadcasting, or you have the words on the screen, then you probably should, legally, you probably should have a CCLI account and go ahead and pay them whatever the rate is for the year. And it's all based upon how large your church is. So reason being is because that's how many people is seeing the music. Now I go back to my personal thought on this is, as a writer and as a singer, I would kind of like to have my music in front of people. And I don't really want CCLI to stand in the way of that, because if they're saying, no, you're not big enough to come on here yet, you need to have such and such followers, and you need to have so many people asking for your music. Well, to me, that's like a stumbling block. That's like, putting something in the way of my music reaching where it could reach. Maybe it's not, but that's kind of the way that I view it. A lot of small-time writers, hate to use the word small-time writers, a lot of writers that's not mainstream. It's not made a name for themselves yet, or maybe they never will. Maybe they're writing, and we want to write for the glory of the Lord. We want to provide churches with a means and a way to worship. And for me, I don't really care if a church does my music. I think it would be great for a church to do my music and to put it on YouTube, and for someone to say, hey, what is that song? And then when they look it up, they can go find it, because it's on Spotify, it's on Apple, it's in those places. It's released music. For you as a church, I think having a CCL license is a good, beneficial thing legally, even though I don't like the process. I don't like that the Christian music is an industry. My opinion, if you want to be a part of the music industry, be a part of the music industry and leave the word Christian out of it. be a part of the music industry. But when you're writing worship music, that worship music should be sent out to the churches. Here you go. Use it for the glory of God, and the Lord will bless me for it as the writer. But I think we have it backwards a lot of times because we want paid for everything that we do. And even if you're using it for the glory of God, I want paid for what you're using. And I think that's just wrong. I don't think that is something that the Lord is really pleased with. Now, yes, you have a gift for writing and they've got a gift for it, and that's great. But that's just my opinion as a worship leader and using CCLI. There's so much music out there that I can't find on CCLI that we use. They're just part of the music industry, the Christian music industry. And like I said, as a worship leader, I can't stand that we are a part of an industry. Do we really need a CCLI license? As much as I hate to say it, yes, we do. If we're going to be broadcasting, if we're going to be using someone else's music, you get into the legalities of it. Yes, we do need to have that license. Should we, as a church and as worship musicians? No, we shouldn't have to. I think we should be able to use whatever music we want to use to glorify the Lord, because it's all for Him, it's all about Him, it's all His anyway. But we do want to do things legally and right, and that's the way that we're set up. So I think that, unfortunately, that's just the way that it is. Do I like it? No, I don't. But I'm sure there's many more out there that's just like me that can't stand it, but that's the way that it is. We need to abide by it. That's the law that we have. So we do want to buy that license, whether it's through CCLI or there's other licensing out there as well. I'll put a link to some of those down below. I think there's a CCL license, and then there's a one source or one song or something like that. There's a few different types of licensing out there. But CCLI seems to be the main one, but they are integrated with Song Select, which is pretty nice, which they do get some things wrong sometimes. I do notice some chords and some chord progressions that are incorrect at times. Sometimes lyrics are incorrect, or the writer, they'll give credit to the writer, but then they'll say made popular by such and such. And the versions that we're doing is the ones that's made popular by so-and-so instead of the original, when maybe I heard the original, but when I go to look it up on CCLI, the original is not there. Song Select gives me the popular version only, and so I have to go in and have to change it. So there's some little things like that some glitches and things like that I don't really care too much about it, but they are integrated together. So when you use Song Select, you're part of CCLI already. You're using Planning Center and these type of platforms. They will take the songs that you're using and give you a simple way to report everything. So those who you are using their music, they do get a cut of what you're giving CCLI, and CCLI will pay out those royalties to them. So in a nutshell, should we use, or do we really need CCLI or a licensing company? Yes, we do. We do need to protect ourselves legally, and we do need to pay out those royalties to those people who are writing the music. But should we? That's a different topic. So maybe we'll talk about this again with some other worship leaders and get their points of view. You hear my point of view on it. I don't like the idea, but that's where we're at. So guys, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you guys next time on Church Talk.